For years, one quote has circulated among Pink Floyd fans, a claim that David Gilmour played far more bass on the classic albums than anyone realised, but the source, no one could ever find it. Until now. So where did it come from? And why did it disappear? Inside a long-forgotten issue of Musician magazine lies the original passage, printed once, never widely digitized and rarely seen since. And what it reveals changes the way we understand the low end of Pink Floyd. Most Pink Floyd fans assume Roger Waters played all the iconic bass lines, but a surprising number of them came from someone else entirely. David Gilmour on Animals and select tracks from The Wall, those melodic, perfectly phrased bass lines you've always associated with Waters. They weren't always his. When a part needed more precision, more melody, or simply more time than the band had, Gilmour would quietly pick up the bass and shape the foundation of the Floyd sound. Today, we're uncovering the bass work David Gilmour never took credit for, and how it redefined the low end of one of the most influential bands in rock history. In interviews from the Luck and Strange press cycle, Gilmour echoed it again, unprompted, 3 decades later. He said, "If the bass line wasn't singing, I'd just pick it up and do it. Not out of ego, but out of necessity." In those long, late-night sessions, the question was never who should play the bass, but who could get the song across the line. More often than not, that was Gilmour. Waters brought the conceptual vision. Gilmour brought the technical execution. And sometimes the band simply ran out of time. Deadlines loomed. Tensions rose, and in those moments, Gilmour's instinct was to solve the problem quietly, efficiently, and musically. When a track demanded a melodic approach rather than a strict root note foundation, Gilmour stepped in. No drama, no credit, just the quiet confidence of a musician who understood the emotional weight of the low end. Gilmour's bass tone wasn't an accident, it was engineered. He used heavy-gauge roto-sound strings tuned for high tension. That tension created the metallic clank you hear all over Animals. But why those strings? And why pick closer to the bridge? That tension, combined with his own precision basses, fretless for the vocal-like slides on Hey You, fretted for the aggressive lines on Animals, created a tone that cut through dense arrangements without overpowering them. But it wasn't just the strings. Gilmour relied on a small, carefully chosen set of instruments. A 1970 fretless Fender Precision He rarely used Waters instruments. He preferred his own tools, recorded through clean high-watt amplification or straight into the desk with fast 1176 compression. What was he chasing? A different tone or a different role in the song? And here's the real key. Waters told stories with the bass. Gilmour sculpted. Where Waters laid down a groove, Gilmour would ask, "What does this song need that nobody else is going to give it?" He wasn't thinking like a traditional bassist. He was thinking like a composer. Melody first, harmony second, rhythm third. And when you think like a composer, what does the bass become? A foundation? A melody? Or something in between? This is why his bass work stands out. It isn't just played, it's designed. So how do you recognize Gilmour's bass work when you hear it? Listen to the syncopated drive of Pigs. The downpicking is relentless, a rhythmic engine that pushes the track forward with controlled aggression. It's unmistakably Gilmour, tight, articulate, and melodically aware. The tone is almost metallic, a result of those high-tension roto sounds and his bridge side picking. But listen closely to the phrasing. Does that feel like Waters, or does it feel like someone with a guitarist's instinct? He accents the "and" of the beat. Phrasing you hear in his guitar work, not in Waters' locked-in groove. It's a bass line that feels like commentary, sarcastic, biting, perfectly aligned with the song's political edge. Then there's Hey You.
Hey you, out there on your own.
A masterclass in fretless expression. The sliding intervals mirror the loneliness of the lyrics. The bass doesn't sit underneath the song. It speaks. And who else in Pink Floyd played bass like that? Gilmour used a 1970 Fender Precision fretless, and you can hear the wood, the air, the human touch in every movement. But the real magic is in the sustain. He lets notes bloom, almost like a vocal line. It's one of the most emotional bass performances in the entire Floyd catalogue. A softer moment.
cat.
But revealing. The bass on A Pillow of Winds carries the same fingerprints we've seen in Gilmour's confirmed work. The gentle, guitar-like movement, the avoidance of the root on beat 1 and the descending intervallic phrasing that mirrors his approach on Pigs. Nothing here contradicts Waters, but everything here aligns with Gilmour's studio instincts. A dual bass performance, Waters and Gilmour together. Two separate lines layered into one hypnotic riff. Waters handled the repetitive, pulsing foundation, while Gilmour added the tighter, more articulated layer that gives the track its precision and drive. Listen to the attack, the timing, the micro-delays. It's a rare moment where both of their musical personalities merge into a single, iconic bass sound. Here it is, the interview that settles the debate. August 1992, a long, in-depth feature interview with David Gilmour, printed once, never digitized and quietly forgotten. And right here, buried halfway down the page, is the passage that settles the debate. Here, in his own words, Gilmour explains why he played so much of Pink Floyd's bass work. He describes Waters' bass approach as simple, and says he often stepped in because he could do it quicker, adding that at least half the bass on all the recorded output is me anyway. Fast forward to 2024. On Luck and Strange, Gilmour returned to the fretless with a minimalist approach. Fewer notes, more space, a tone that breathes. It's the same philosophy he brought to Pink Floyd in the 70s. Refined, distilled, and fully owned. The bass isn't a foundation, it's a voice. And in a way, these modern recordings reveal something important. Gilmour never saw instruments as fixed roles. Guitarist, bassist, singer, producer. To him, they were simply tools for expression. Recognizing Gilmour's hidden bass work isn't about rewriting history, it's about understanding the architecture behind the music. And once you hear it, can you ever unhear it? Waters provided the narrative. Gilmour provided the melodic precision. Together, they created a low end that was richer, deeper, and more expressive than either musician could have achieved alone. And once you hear these tracks with that knowledge, you'll never listen to Pink Floyd the same way again. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this one, consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next video.